Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Joli English Podcast. I'm Joe, and it's Target Tuesday.
And I'm Emily. Happy Tuesday, everyone. You know what? I'm actually feeling extra energized today because I've been seeing so many amazing posts with our hashtag Jolly Morning Challenge hashtag.
Oh my goodness, yes. Emily, have you been checking social media this morning? Our listeners are absolutely crushing it with their new morning routines.
I have. I saw Sarah from Brazil posted that she's been doing 5 minutes of English journaling every morning, and she said, and I quote, "I never realized how much clearer my thoughts become when I write them in English."
That's incredible. And what about Marcus from Germany? He shared that he's been listening to English podcasts during breakfast, and he's already learned 15 new vocabulary words just from yesterday's episode.
I love that. And you know what's really exciting? Today is only day 2 of the challenge, and people are already seeing results. It just proves what we talked about yesterday. Small, consistent actions really do lead to big transformations.
Absolutely. And speaking of transformations, that's exactly why today's topic is so perfect. We're talking about goal setting and weekly planning, but not just any goal setting. We're going to teach you how to set and achieve goals like a professional, all while improving your English.
That's right. And Joe, I have to ask, why did we choose Tuesday for talking about goal setting? Isn't usually Monday the day people think about goals?
Great question. Here's the thing. Monday is often chaotic. People are transitioning from weekend mode back to work mode. But Tuesday is when you have clarity. You've settled into the week, you know what challenges you're facing, and you can make realistic plans.
That's so smart. Plus, if you set goals on Tuesday, you still have most of the week ahead of you to work on them. It's not too late to make the week productive and meaningful.
Exactly. Now, before we dive into the strategies, I want to share a personal story. Emily, do you remember when I told you about my goal-setting disaster from 3 years ago?
Oh, no. Are you talking about your New Year's resolution catastrophe?
Yes, that's the one. So, listeners, picture this. It was January 1st, and I was feeling super motivated. I wrote down this massive list of goals. I wanted to become fluent in English, learn Spanish, read 50 books, exercise every day, eat perfectly healthy, wake up at 5 a.m., meditate for an hour, and start a successful business.
Oh, wow, that's a lot.
It was completely unrealistic. By January 15th, I had already given up on most of them. I felt like a complete failure. And I actually stopped trying to improve my English for almost 2 months because I was so discouraged.
That's such a common experience. I think most people can relate to that feeling of setting huge goals and then feeling overwhelmed.
Exactly. But here's what changed everything for me. I learned about something called SMART goals from my English teacher. Emily, can you explain what SMART goals are?
Absolutely. SMART is actually an acronym. That means each letter stands for something important. S-M-A-R-T. Let me break it down for our listeners. This is going to be so useful. Go ahead, Emily. Okay. So S stands for specific. Your goal needs to be clear and detailed, not vague. Instead of saying, "I want to improve my English," you'd say, "I want to learn 50 new vocabulary words this month."
Perfect example. What about M?
M is for measurable. You need to be able to track your progress. So instead of "I want to speak better English," you'd say, "I want to have a 10-minute conversation in English without stopping to translate in my head."
I love that. And A?
A stands for achievable or attainable. Your goal should challenge you, but it shouldn't be impossible. If you're a beginner, don't set a goal to read an entire English novel in a week. Maybe start with reading 1 English article per day. That's so important.
What about R?
R is for relevant or realistic. Your goal should actually matter to your life and connect to your bigger dreams. If your ultimate goal is to work in an international company, then improving your business English vocabulary is relevant.
And finally, T?
T stands for time-bound. You need a deadline. Instead of "someday I'll be fluent," you'd say, "by the end of this month, I'll be able to introduce myself confidently in English for 2 minutes without notes.
This is brilliant. So let me give you a real example of how I transformed one of my failed goals using the SMART method.
Oh, I'd love to hear this.
So my original goal was become fluent in English, which was way too vague. Using SMART, I changed it to, by the end of March, I will be able to have a 15-minute conversation about my hobbies and work without using my native language. And I'll track this by recording myself speaking for 5 minutes every Friday.
Wow, that's so much more actionable. Let's break that down. It's specific because it mentions conversation topics, measurable because you can time yourself, achievable because 15 minutes is realistic, relevant because conversation skills are crucial for fluency, and time-bound because you set a March deadline.
Exactly. And you know what? I actually achieved that goal. It felt amazing.
That's incredible. Now, let's talk about weekly planning. Joe, how do you personally plan your week to achieve your English learning goals?
Great question. I use what I call the Sunday planning session. Every Sunday evening, I spend 15 minutes planning my week. But I don't just plan my schedule. I plan my English learning opportunities.
Tell us more about that.
Well, first, I look at my calendar and identify English pockets. Small moments throughout the week where I can practice English. Maybe it's listening to a podcast during my commute or practicing pronunciation while cooking dinner.
That's so smart. What else do you do?
Then I set 3 mini goals for the week. Not big, overwhelming goals, just 3 small, specific things I want to accomplish. For example, last week my goals were learn 10 new words related to cooking, watch 1 TED Talk without subtitles, and have a phone conversation in English with my language exchange partner.
And did you achieve them?
I achieved 2 out of 3. I learned the cooking vocabulary and had the phone conversation, but I only watched half of the TED Talk. But here's the important part. I didn't feel like a failure. I felt proud of what I did accomplish.
That's such a healthy mindset. And you know what I love about your approach? You're integrating English learning into activities you already enjoy, like cooking.
Exactly. Emily, what's your weekly planning strategy?
I use something called theme days. Each day of the week has a different English learning focus. Monday is Motivation Monday, where I listen to inspiring content. Tuesday is Target Tuesday, where I work on specific skills. Wednesday is Wisdom Wednesday, where I read something educational.
I love that. What about the other days?
Thursday is Think Out Loud Thursday, where I practice speaking by narrating my activities in English. Friday is Fun Friday, where I watch English movies or TV shows. And weekends are for review and relaxation.
That's brilliant. It takes the decision-making out of daily learning. You always know what type of English practice to focus on.
Exactly. And listeners, here's some essential vocabulary for talking about goals and planning. Joe, want to share some useful phrases?
Absolutely. When talking about goals, you can say, my goal is to, or I'm aiming to, or I hope to achieve. For example, my goal is to expand my vocabulary, or I'm aiming to speak more confidently.
Perfect. And for planning, you can use phrases like I'm planning to, or my plan for this week is, or I intend to. For example, I'm planning to practice speaking for 20 minutes every day.
Perfect. And here are some words for describing progress. You can say, I'm making good progress, or I can see improvement in my pronunciation.
And don't forget words for challenges: obstacle, difficulty, challenge, setback, struggle. You can say, I'm facing some challenges with grammar, or I had a small setback this week.
Excellent. Now, let's give our listeners some practical homework for this week.
I love giving homework. What do you have in mind?
I want everyone to create 1 SMART goal for their English learning this week. Just 1. Write it down using the SMART criteria we discussed, and then share it in the comments or on social media with hashtag #JollyTargetTuesday.
That's perfect. And here's an extra challenge. I want you to identify 3 English pockets in your weekly schedule, times when you could naturally practice English without adding extra stress to your day.
Brilliant. For example, you could practice English while commuting, during lunch breaks,
or while doing household chores.
And remember, the goal isn't to fill every moment with English learning. It's to be intentional about the moments you do choose.
Absolutely. Quality over quantity. Always.
Before we wrap up, let's share today's golden quote. Are you ready, Joe?
I'm ready. Today's quote is, "A goal without a plan is just a wish."
So true. And speaking of plans, tomorrow is Wisdom Wednesday. We'll be talking about learning from mistakes, how to turn your English errors into stepping stones for success.
I'm excited for that episode. We'll share some embarrassing language mistakes we've made and how they actually helped us improve faster.
Oh no! Are you going to tell the story about the when you accidentally ordered fish food instead of fish at a restaurant?
Emily, you're giving away all my secrets. But yes, that story and many more embarrassing moments that turned into learning opportunities.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Joli English Podcast. If you're enjoying our daily episodes, please subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps other English learners find us.
And remember, every goal you set is a step toward the person you want to become. Start small, be consistent, and celebrate your progress along the way.
Until tomorrow, keep learning, keep planning, and keep speaking English with confidence.
See you on Wisdom Wednesday, everyone.
Bye!
Bye-bye.